Survivor's ready. If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
The queen stays queen.
Said Russell Feathers.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to calamity. We have ripe bananas all the time.
Dude, my prize isn't even $1 million. My prize was that I fell in love in this game. Love at first sight. Her name is Candace.
You officially go down as the dumbest survivor ever.
Welcome to Not Game, All Personal. Hey, we are a Survivor podcast here to talk about all things Survivor, more specifically the events of this past week. I'm Nathan. This is Tony. Tony, welcome to week 3 of Survivor. How are we doing?
Nathan, we are doing well. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to be here. I'm so happy. I could not be more happy to talk about Survivor.
Really?
No, I'm not happy.
Oh. What?
I think I have officially pulled as what the kids are calling a Tony.
Oh.
One of my
Tony.
3 picks went home the week after I picked her.
Oh, darn. You hate to
It's
hear it.
called pulling a Tony, right? That's
Oh. Dang, because I could have sworn I thought that all my people are still in for Big Brother. And all my people are still in for Survivor. And you
Okay.
can't say either of those things.
There's still a long game ahead of us, but yes, if you are listening for the first time, we drafted players. And by the end of the season, we would average out how far they all went, okay, get points on, blah, blah, blah. I picked Sabaya, okay? I talked her up last week. I thought she had potential. I still think she has potential, okay? Even though she's gone, I'm standing by the fact that she had a winning game, okay? She just got voted out. That's all. It happens. Sometimes the best players get voted out. That's all.
Yep, and that's how, we always remember the players that get voted out, especially when they get voted out third. We definitely remember those players.
There are some memorable people that got voted out third. Okay.
Name 3.
Well, I'm not good at like the order of stuff. Okay. I'm trying to pull like an easy one. Wasn't Tony voted out third in
Pretty close.
Game
I'll give you
Changers?
that one.
Wasn't
I'll spot you that one.
Wasn't Amber voted out like second in Winners at War? I mean, like,
Yeah, I
come
won't
on.
give you
Like,
that, though.
What are we doing? Like, some of the best players go home early. You know,
Anyways,
some
moving on. Nathan's
winners
dumb.
of the game
We all know it.
go home early. That's just how
He's
it
not going to
works.
remember who Sabaya is in 2 weeks, but that doesn't matter. I do think that with these longer episodes, we're being given like more to remember the people who do get voted out. Like there's just more
Yeah.
time spent with them that I feel like they're more memorable and they're more fleshed out characters than we've seen in the past.
Yes, I would agree with that, and I think especially in Yellow's case, I mean, this is
Mhm.
week number 3 that we get extended bonus content with them, and since the past 2 weeks, there wasn't really a lot of game to discuss. It was kind of like, oh, this person's quitting. Oh, Brandon's the obvious vote. So it felt like we were getting a lot of just extra stuff, and so yeah, my judgment might have been clouded on Sabaya, but like you can't tell me like she didn't show promise. Like
No, she did, and she kind
she
of
looked
naturally
like a good player.
Yeah. But then she realized that she looked like a good player, I think, and got a little too cocky with it. And like, we're obviously starting with that tribe, so I'll just get into it right away.
Just get into it.
It's insane to try flipping on Caleb that early. It's like, man, he's really going to be a threat in the end. It's the third person getting voted out. You can let him stick around for a little while. Like, it's insane to me that you're trying to get that cute with it, that you're getting rid of Caleb because he's charismatic. That's absurd.
Yeah.
It felt to me like she wanted to be the star of the show, and that's why she wanted to get rid of him. And it's like, that's just not how this works.
I think the logic would have added up maybe like after one more tribal.
Yeah.
And I think if it was even like if another tribe went to tribal council like once or twice, like maybe this is episode 5, and she
They're looking
pulls
at a
this.
merge, and it's like, let's get rid of him before we hit that merge.
Yes.
Sure.
So like I don't think the logic is like faulty in wanting to get him out, but I think you're right. It was just the way that it all went down. And I think like to her credit, she clearly did not have any clue how close Emily and Caleb were. And I think that
No.
is a lot of kudos to Caleb's game in like
Hmm.
realizing like, hey, I need to get Emily on my side for when this all goes down, because we saw that last week,
Hmm.
those seeds starting to plant. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard to know because, like, her logic, I think, was correct in the sense of, like, hey, if we do this now, we don't have to worry about doing it later. Like, Emily's an easier vote to convince everyone to do later. Especially after he goes and raids the camp and builds all these connections.
Yeah.
Especially after Emily outs in front of everyone, like, well, Caleb's a social player, that's why we're gonna send him over there. Like, that's kind of weird to say out loud. That's an
Was that
Emily
in
thing to
front of
say.
everyone? I heard her say that, and I was like, there's no way that she would just say that in front of everyone.
It
I think the other
was,
two tribes had left, right?
yeah. You're right. So it
But it
was
was
just in
still
front
in
of
front
their
of
tribe.
everyone in their tribe. Okay.
It was a very weird thing when Jeff is like, "So why Caleb?" Well, he's a good social player. Like, what? What? What are you? Why are you doing that?
She just doesn't know how to not say things, it feels like.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. What are you gonna do? Like I said, sometimes you pick winners, sometimes you pick losers, and sometimes the best players go home third.
We always say that. That's actually one of our sayings on this show, if you haven't listened before.
The best players always go home third.
Yeah. The best players sometimes go home third. Not always,
Gonna
sometimes.
start a merch line. We're gonna sell some T-shirts.
Yeah.
The best players get voted out third.
Hey, I think I got voted out third when I did that Survivor thing, so I'm gonna wear that shirt like nobody's business.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was it. So there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about. Well, there's a couple things with this tribe that we still need to talk about. I wanted to talk about
Oh yeah, we're
Emily's
not done.
edit
We're
a
just getting
little bit.
started.
Yeah, yeah. I was just trying to decide what the best route was, and I'm gonna go off of Sabaya for a little bit, and then we'll come back to it, I think. But Emily's edit has been fascinating the last few episodes because she went from just like they portrayed her as absolutely insufferable, and now they portray her as like trying to fit in more and being a little bit more optimistic and friendly, and like she's completely turned things around immediately. And it's just weird. Like it just doesn't feel right with me. I don't know if they were playing up how aggressive and pessimistic she was in the first episode, or if they're playing up how much she's adjusted and is doing better now. It just seems like such a sudden shift. And for her to not, no one was planning on voting her out last night, except
Yeah.
for Caleb, and that's just because he was the target. Like there wasn't even didn't even seem like she was a consideration as much as she was in the past. It was between Caleb and Sabaya more than anything. So it's interesting. Like I'm wondering what's going on there and what she was really like on the island almost, because I almost don't buy what they're giving us.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of we talked a little bit about it last week, but she is really getting this like full arc of like growth as like a person,
Mm-hmm.
but it is happening extremely fast. Like within the span of like 2 days, it's like one conversation, and she's like, "Oh, I understand myself now." It's like, no, that should take you like 20 days, and that final 7, you're finally like, "Oh, I get it now." So like I would almost agree with that, where it's like maybe they just kind of rolled with, "Hey, you called out Bruce, so let's really push this angle of like you're a little abrasive or you're a little, outspoken," which I still think she is, because like we've seen it in other instances.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. Just
Yeah, but
playing it up a
it's
little bit.
like I got to give her credit, and she does have very like main character energy as far as the edit goes, which we do not talk
Mm-hmm.
about on this show. But if we were to talk about the edits, I mean, I think you probably did a pretty good job drafting her last week, because she's gonna go pretty far, I would imagine.
Here's my take. I think she's out next. I think this accelerated arc
Well, never mind then.
is
Okay, tell
telling
me
me.
more.
I think this accelerated arc is telling me that her story is going to be up soon.
Okay.
Like they gave us
Interesting.
that growth story already because she's
Mhm.
grown so much in 4 days. and I think there's a chance that she's out soon. Like it just
Okay.
it doesn't make sense to me to have such an accelerated arc
Mm-hmm.
between the two if that's not the case. And maybe honestly people might not realize how abrasive they're being and they just flip it like that and she's like, "Yes, you can still see the hints of it. You can tell she's trying and she's trying to be a part of something now and we just didn't see that before." I guess I could buy that as being a genuine thing. It just felt like such a shift that it wouldn't surprise me if she was out soon.
Okay. I don't hate that one either. That would even us out a little more as far as our draft picks go. So let's go.
Yeah,
Emily out
I
next week.
usually have to. For those of you who haven't listened, I usually have to throw Nathan a bone because he's usually pretty bad at this.
I do like her and Caleb though as a duo.
Mm-hmm.
I
do
think
too.
that's fun. And we did see at the end of the episode there is going to be a tribe swap for the first time in the new era of
Mhm.
Survivor. So if it wasn't for that, I would say she's safe. But I think the tribe swap could be interesting and work against her, and it could work against anyone. So it's really hard to predict what's going to happen next week.
Tribe swap is the one area of Survivor that it's entirely luck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one aspect of the game that I feel I wish was around more often the last 4 seasons because they would do like little like their summits and stuff like that, which yeah, they've only done one so far, which love that. But yeah, it's one of those things that you just need to do. You need to do a tribe swap so it adds that layer of randomness and luck and you can connect with other people. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, agreed. While we're still on Lulu, I'll just throw it out. Not much to say about Sean this week. I don't know. Should we just conclude that
Sean's
he's
just kind of there. Everybody seems to enjoy him. He's not really a target.
Yeah, he's very
Everyone
much
seems
on the
to trust
bottom.
him. Yeah, now he is. He was in a great spot before, but now he's for sure a target.
But we had to talk about this tribal council because some stuff happened, which was never happened before. Sabaya took the advice of Survivor Twitter last week and just brought the idol right to tribal, threw it in the fire in front of everyone.
Not just Survivor Twitter. I said that on this very program. You're not going to give me any credit for saying like, why didn't she do this last week?
I saw another tweet that said why didn't so Lulu or not Lulu yes no Lulu they won in the reward fishing gear right but they don't have flint to make a fire so someone else tweeted that why didn't they just bring their fish with the idol and roast that over the fire while they were there too, and I thought that was very funny.
That'd be funny. That'd be very, very funny.
Yeah, she throws it in. In an interview today, I saw that she said it took about 20 minutes, which isn't as long as I thought it would take. I thought it'd be longer. But she got it out. It winds up being the same advantage that we see also in this episode with Austin, that she can take this as an idol, but it only works this one tribal, the current one she's at. Or she can give up a vote and have it last until the merge. Or give up the next 2 tribals of votes and have it until final 5. So she decides to give up her vote to save the idol until next time. And that next time is not coming.
I hate to see it.
Hindsight, it's a bad move. But if you're in the moment, I mean, do you make the same risk, or do you think that you'd be smart enough to be like, no, I need my vote, and I'll just use this idol right now?
I make that move every time, I think, honestly.
Just take the idol and play
just because.
safe?
No,
or lose your vote? Which one?
Lose my vote. Just because of the position that she was in, she should have been good. It was the fact that she told too many people and didn't she flew too close to the sun, I think, in a lot of ways. But the way that she was set up in the game, she should have been fine for that tribal council. She shouldn't have had to work. The vote should have been Emily, and she should have just kept it simple. I think she would have done that had she known what this advantage was. But she decided to play it risky and try to get Caleb out. But I think you try to save it every time. Like if I'm playing Survivor, I want to play Survivor. And if I'm in the position that she's in, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I do wonder if there might have been more there though, as far as like Caleb and Emily goes, because I think the assumption is that we're making is that if she doesn't try to start this, hey, let's turn on Caleb, then the vote is Emily. And I'm wondering, like, is there a world where she keeps the vote on Emily, but Caleb flips on her no matter what? You know, I don't know. Like the episode leads us to believe that they vote for her because she started this Caleb campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's my only question. Is like, is there more to that? Like, was it actually more of a 2-2 tribe, and we just didn't get the full picture? Or was it a 3-1 and she was the one that messed it up? You know, so I think like that's just information we don't fully have. So if we're following the episode, then like yes, she was the one that caused it, and therefore she probably should have felt safe to get her vote away, I guess.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I would say disagrees with that is when Emily told Caleb, it felt like it was very last minute. Felt like he was just getting water before tribal and they were leaving immediately. And so the like lateness that conversation happened, which it probably would have happened earlier had it been the other way around. I don't know. It's just yeah, that's fair. It's hard to tell if that was the right move or not. I think yeah, I definitely would have wanted to risk it to have it for longer because you would think that you're okay. That's a good question.
There was a moment where, because it really came down to Caleb's vote, because Emily voted for Sabaya voted for Caleb. If Caleb would have not listened to Emily, he would have put his vote on Emily, and it would have been a 3-way tie,
3-way.
which would have been incredibly fun. But the votes definitely, well, actually, I don't know, because Sabaya didn't have a vote to begin with, so I guess the three of them would just kind of talk it out at that point.
I think
Wait.
yeah. Well, I think Sean decides.
You
That's
think
his name,
he
right?
decides? Why would he decide?
Because it's the people who weren't voted for that get to re-vote.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay.
Yeah. So they were all voted for, so they don't get to re-vote, and then whoever
Uh-huh.
wasn't voted for gets to vote again. If they don't agree,
Yes.
then it's a unanimous decision. If they don't come to unanimous, then rocks. But I think it would just be Sean being like, "All right, Sean, who do you want to vote out?" Or go write it down up there.
You are correct. That is how it works. Okay. Okay. So that'd be not
I
as
think it's Emily.
interesting because then you think Emily would
Or
go?
does he double down on Caleb?
He would probably double down on Caleb, because why would he keep Caleb after he just voted for him?
Because
Right?
Emily showed her disloyalty by turning on those two.
I guess so. So then you keep Caleb being like, "Oh, you're loyal with us. You voted with us the way you thought we wanted you to vote."
You blame it on Emily once she's out of there. That's what you do.
I mean, maybe.
Emily was just trying to turn us all against each other.
But then who voted for
She was trying
Sabaya?
to trying to make it a 2-2
But
so that she could be in control.
So if you're blaming Emily for the Caleb vote, who do you blame the Sabaya vote on?
No,
Yourself?
you're blaming her on convincing Sabaya and Sean to vote for Caleb. Like you say that Emily was pitting the two groups against each other and manipulating.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all, because then you're
It absolutely works, and you're just dumb.
no, because then if in order for Caleb to believe that, he would have to believe like, oh, so Emily convinced you to vote for me, but then she didn't vote for me because
She was
she
trying
voted for
to-
Sabaya. So
she was trying to force a tie.
that
Obviously.
you're not okay. We gotta stop.
Why would
this
she not want to
'cause
force a tie? A tie
Why?
guarantees that she doesn't go home.
That's not at all what it means.
There's so much logic to it. You're just not smart enough to get my Survivor logic. But yeah, I think so. You think Sean just goes, Caleb, get out of here?
I think you have to. I think you have to.
How foolish of you.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. It was so incredibly satisfying to see. Sabaya just made such a show of her melting her candle at Tribal. So to see her go through all of that and then be the one that gets voted out was so satisfying. It's like, oh my gosh, you are not this important. Like, calm down. Like, she's just like, oh,
This is
Jeff. It's just my immunity idol. It's like, get out of my face.
This is feeding exactly into that stereotype that I described that you don't like. You don't like when people are confident.
I don't like when people are cute about it.
This is Felicia from Big Brother. It's the same
Yeah.
archetype. It's who else fits into it?
It feels more cocky than confident. Like just the putting on a show for everybody about her doing this candle thing. Which, to be
Do
fair,
you
she had to like
think-
take care of it. But the vibe I got was like, "Oh, sorry, Jeff. I have to go check on my candle. Just a second. I'm gonna pause tribal."
So
It's
if
like
it
you are-
works, if the move works, is it then confidence?
No, then I'm upset that she survived because it's
Okay.
annoying.
So
No,
you just
I'm
don't
firmly
want
on the
anyone
like.
to.
Yeah, it's just annoying in general to be like, this is the Sabaya show.
Okay.
Now the question is, if Jesse from from a few seasons ago, who I loved, if he did that, would I like it? That would
I
be.
mean,
an
I'm pretty
interesting
sure he
question.
did stuff like that all the time. He definitely had a
Yeah,
tribal
but-
or two where he made it about him and made a show.
That was towards the end. That wasn't the third tribal when you're like
I'd say some of the best
melting the
Survivor
wax.
players. I mean, like let's look at Tony. You know, the two-time winner. Did he not make shows?
Yeah, but I didn't like Tony. Remember?
That's fair.
Ah.
I'm
Got
just
him.
saying that's winner energy from Sabaya, and I like it.
Ooh. Hey, maybe I'll have to think about it.
Like that's, I mean, I understand why you don't like it, but like that's what I look for in Survivor. I want to see.
I think for her, it
I want to
felt
see everyone
unearned.
make it about themselves. Like that's what I want.
I
I
think-
want everyone to like make it their show.
It being the third episode and her having not done much so far in the game, felt unearned to have like, this is about me
Okay, so
energy.
you're not upset that she put the idol in the fire. You're upset that her attitude with it.
Yeah, no, I said last week she should have put it in the fire. But she
Okay,
just like,
it's the way
I
she
just
put
got
it in the
this
fire.
energy. I just
Got
got this
it.
vibe. It wasn't even
Okay.
the way she put it in the fire. It was the way that she was like tending to her candle or her wax ball.
So just throw it in,
Two
leave it
sticks.
there, and be humble
And being like,
about
I'm
it.
like Tony, but I got a toolbox. Get out of my face.
Got it. Future players, this is what to not do. Otherwise,
It has to be somewhat earned.
Tony will not give you his vote in the end. That's
True.
okay. Enough about Lulu. I'm done with them. Thank God there's a tribe swap.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask, what are your overall thoughts on this season so far? Are you enjoying it?
I think this episode was a big step up. I would say I was not enjoying the first couple episodes that much. I think this episode, I just feel like we know everyone in the other tribe so much more than we would have in past seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been very cool. But I feel like I'm probably still leaning negative just because we've just seen one tribe go to tribal 3 times. So we don't know where the rest of the tribes actually stand. And so that's always hard to pinpoint. It's actually kind of bad. Well, here's a question for you. Would you want to be on either of the other tribes, Bello or Reba, knowing that you never voted, and so you don't know if you can actually count on the people that you were just spent 6
No.
days with?
Absolutely not. And we've definitely talked about this, where it's like there is a benefit to going to tribal. Not too much to the fact that you can risk, but like you build connections and get information. So to go into a swap without going to tribal, how are you going to build new relationships where you haven't solidified your old ones?
Yeah. That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, I don't like it. But yeah,
I like it.
I ask because the vibe I'm getting from the very small survival circle that I follow on the internet, okay? You brought up Jesse, okay? He tweeted last night that this is his favorite season in the new era. And I've seen a lot of similar takes where people love the format, they love just everything about it, the people, and I'm just not feeling it yet. And I feel like I'm going crazy. Not that I have to love it right now, because I understand that we've only seen one tribe and it's only 3 episodes in. But I'm starting to get a little concerned that I am not as strong as it seems like everyone else is. So I'm just trying to get a gauge if I'm going crazy or if it's okay that I'm just still warming up to it.
So this season is doing a lot of things really, really well. And a lot of things that it feels like they've been listening to us about, like the Survivor fandom. Things like making longer episodes. Love that. That's great. Doing a tribe swap. Love that. That's great. You can't sit out in back-to-back challenges regardless of whether or not if there was a tribal. Love that people have to play.
New
That's
puzzles.
awesome. New puzzles. Like there's so many format things that have been done super well. One other thing that I was going to mention later, different pathways to the idol, like different puzzles and things that you have to do on the different beaches.
Sure.
Love that. Like it's not just uniform across the board. It's more interesting. So a lot of that, a lot of the stage that has been set is really really good. But the same tribe going 3 times with one person quitting, one person just being physically unable to really do anything in the game, it seems
Right.
like. And then an interesting tribal council for sure. But that being your first couple episodes, it wasn't the bang that you wanted it to start with.
Yeah, I would almost argue that this is a not good season, but because the format and some of those extra things are sprinkled in, any season would be made to look better because of
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, like if we
Yeah.
apply these same things, if we make the past 4 seasons all 90-minute episodes, those would be significantly better than this season. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at right now, which I guess is fine because you can't have one without the other. Like this season is 90 minutes long. That's what it is. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that is what I feel is kind of fooling people to being like this is interesting because I don't think it's interesting without that aspect.
And I'm still in a place where I'm underwhelmed with the cast so far. Like I think there's some fun people,
Yes.
some interesting people, but it all it I think a lot of people have said this. It doesn't feel diverse enough. Like
Mm.
in just like the type of people and kind of the vibe that they bring.
Yeah.
Um,
I would agree with that completely. Well,
and we'll see. We'll see once more of these guys. That's I know. Yeah, that's right. Well, should we get into Bello or Reba?
yes. I feel like there's probably more to say about Reba than Bello. So the question is, do we want to jump into the exciting stuff first, or do we want to save it?
Let's sandwich Bello in right in the middle.
All right, cool. I think the biggest thing with Bello is we got some more bonding, I suppose, with Kendra and Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Jake was really hyped up to fall in the fire, and he did not fall in the fire. Was so convinced he was going to fall in the fire based on the preview, and he did not. So good
And
for
then it's
him.
just like not talked about.
No, it's not at all.
Like he like had a seizure or something and like passed
Uh huh.
out, and they're just like, "Yeah, I'm good." And then they just like walk to the water mountain or
Yeah.
water well. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably okay.
But they're
Like
chatting, and Kendra kind of lets him know that, like, hey, we're kind of worried because the guys are grouping together. Uh, that's kind of
projecting
like,
much.
yes. um, I mean, like, the interesting thing with this is, like, last week, I think we were led to believe that Brando was working with all the girls, right?
Hmm.
And Brando felt in the middle. And yet Kendra's like, here are the two groups, guys and girls. You know, so like that was fascinating. And I think the other big thing we got is I think Kelly is very aware that Katurah doesn't like Bruce, which could be
Hmm.
good, could be bad. But I think either other people are picking up on it and agreeing with her, or they're picking up on it and might use it against her. So one or the other could possibly happen.
Yeah, they seemed. Yep, those are the two options. They seemed a little, yeah, uneasy about her because of that. Because we had the Kelly and Brando conversation where it's like, well, actually, we're the two in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to work with you, Brando, and we can go with the guys or we can go with the girls. Like we have these two options, which I like Kelly and Brando as a duo within that group.
Yeah.
But man, is that tribe specifically is really really going to be hurting going into this tribe swap, not knowing if they can trust each other or like I can just imagine Kendra and Bruce and Katura all on the same tribe and being like, do I trust these people at all?
Mm-hmm.
And like, nope, not even a little bit, but you kind of feel like you have to work together. So they're going to be in a tough spot, but I hope we see more Kelly Brando duo because that's a really fun one for me.
So I always forget. These are the 3 September birthdays, right? That's who these
Yep.
girls are? Okay.
Yeah.
because like that's the crazy thing is like yes they are a duo, and then Kendra and Jake are also being positioned as a duo. Then you got Katura and Bruce who are not a duo. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you got this 3-3, you got this 2-2, 1-1. You also got this 4-2, you got this 4-2, and I just feel like they are not doing enough to solidify anything. Like I understand they're not at tribal
Mm-hmm.
yet, but it's like you're right. If you get swapped right now, you cannot rely on these people. You could
Mm-mm.
maybe rely on this duo. I don't know, but like I just think like you gotta step something up here, which is tough that they're not doing it.
Yeah, I feel like the swap is honestly, there's a chance that the swap is earlier than it was supposed to be because this is early for a swap, and
Yeah.
it's early because it has to be because one tribe lost 3 people, so now they can reshift back into tribes of 5. I don't think they're going to go to 2. I think they're just going to swap into 3 tribes of 5 and then go from there, just
Mm-hmm.
out of necessity of like we need to do something. And now we have these 3 players who are seasoned, have gone to 3 tribal councils, have voted twice and they're ready to go. And then you have the rest who are probably going to be more loyal to this second tribe than they were to the first tribe because they're the people they actually trust and can lean
Right.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird situation, and it's also like it's just a odd group of people. Like you got
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, very charismatic, not everyone's cup of tea. You got Katura, who makes it very aware that he's not her cup of tea. You got Kendra, who feels like a little out there in some ways. You got Jake, who feels out there in different ways. And so, like, yes, Kelly and Brando feel like the most
Down
grounded.
to earth. Yeah.
Yeah, like just okay. You might have what it takes relationally and socially,
Mm-hmm.
but are we just being clouded by them being with a bunch of people who are out there? I don't know, and that like
Mm-hmm.
it's just impossible to tell. So I'm so glad a tribe swap is happening because they are a decently good tribe at competition. So I don't know when they would go to tribal if it wasn't for a swap.
The thing is, Reba is also a very good tribe. So, like, both tribes are really good. And so I was very interested to see which one would lose, and turns out it was neither.
You want to talk about Reba?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Reba is much different because it feels like they have very much solidified a four.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even though this four doesn't really trust each other all the time, which is fun and
No, man, it was painful. Some of that stuff, dude.
pretty sloppy for many parties involved.
It's
So
just tough. It's tough, man.
we've known that Austin has this advantage that required him to do this and do this and do
Mm-hmm.
this. Him and Drew finally find where to start digging. They start digging, get caught by Dee and Julie. It turns into this whole thing, a lie on top of a lie that eventually winds up being the truth in a way. They finally get to the conclusion like Austin found this, but they lied about like 3 other things in between those facts. So,
Yeah, I would probably do the same thing where I'd reach the point where it's like, I lied. And I think part of me is like Drew being like, it was Austin's thing, so I made up this lie because I didn't want to just like out what somebody else had found that felt unfair to him. It was his decision.
mm-hmm.
That's fair. But also, Austin kind of doubled down on the lie. Like, it's just tough in general. And
Yep.
a lot of distrust is there right now, I think.
And Seafood just catching strays, just being thrown into this. Like, oh, we caught him digging. Like
Hey, tell me that doesn't feel on brand for Sifu.
he was just digging, so we thought we would help him out over here and see if he was onto something.
Little side note: did you enjoy Sifu and Jay's concert?
uh, it was quite the edit.
So I cannot imagine how uncomfortable that must have been in person.
Was that
Oh
was
my
that when
gosh!
Caleb came up and asked them to
Yeah,
sing? Was that it?
Caleb,
Yeah,
well, I don't think he asked him to. I think Sifu was like, "Oh yeah, here I'll play for you right now," Bing! And started like making noises.
yeah.
It's
It's.
painful.
I think like here's the thing: is Bello feels like a tribe made up of people like Sifu and Jay. And in Reba, they're just like, oh yeah, here are those two people. The four of us will all group together and we'll just do our thing.
Jay
Like,
doesn't feel like that to me too much because she was just as uncomfortable with the whole situation.
I
I don't know
suppose
why she's just
it's
been excluded from those four.
well, that's the crazy thing is like they are getting nothing, no airtime. We have no idea what their plan is. Are they socializing? Are they gaming? No idea. Like the producers do not care at all. They're just like, forget them.
Yeah.
Here's the four that matter, and it's like, okay, I guess these are the four that matter.
Sifu's just the comic relief in the background.
Yeah, pretty much. And Jay is, I don't know. Like, what do we know about her? Do we have any idea of where she stands with anyone?
Not even a little bit. She's never had a conversation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
She might
it's
have had a
bizarre.
conversation with someone this week, did she, or am I making that up?
Well, last week she was noticing like the sign of like, hey,
Oh
I think there
yeah.
might be like words here, like blah 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 blah, and but nothing came of that because everyone
Yeah,
already
that-
knew who had it. Well, not
Mhm.
everyone. Drew and Austin. Yeah, but this tribe very much feels like the Drew, Austin, D, and Julie train, and so
Mhm.
I guess we're just gonna ride that out for however long.
Yeah, maybe Jay and Sifu will find a home elsewhere. If you're on Survivor and you make it through like 3 eliminations and you don't feel like you have allies, that's a problem. So if they're just kind of floating out there, that's an issue and you need to do something.
Yeah. Who was it? 41, the Blue Tribe, where they tried to throw, and was it Ricard? No, not Ricard.
It would have
He was
been
on
Blue
green.
was Danny, Erica, Heather.
Who was the one guy that was? Oh my gosh.
He made
I
it pretty.
need to
He was
look
final
this up.
3. What's his name?
No, not him.
Not him.
The other one.
Geo?
No, Geo was 2 seasons ago. Survivor
Oh.
43.
I was so
Survivor-
confident Geo was right. I was like, I nailed that.
No. Geo, it was. I'm pulling it up, scrolling down.
Romeo. It wasn't Romeo.
Nasir.
Nasir. Nasir was such a delight. How did I forget Nasir?
So, if you don't
He feels like
remember,
Sifu.
they tried to throw it. The Blue Tribe did because they just needed
Mhm.
to get someone out. They're like, we need to go to tribal. And Nasir pretty much just won it for them. He like soloed it because they didn't tell him they were throwing it. He just won.
Yeah.
He just went beast mode and it was epic. So I don't know. These people might need
Classic
to start doing
Nasir.
that.
Missed that
So
guy.
how do we feel about this alliance, the 4-person? Do we think
I
this
think-
can stand the test of time?
No. I think if they went to a tribal, maybe. But once again, like there's already distrust. I think if they were solid and we hadn't seen these like seeds of distrust, I think I'd be in on them. I think they showed us those moments, first of all, because they were important, but I think it created cracks where Dee and Julie do not fully trust Drew and Austin. And so
yeah.
I imagine that some of them are going to get on tribes with each other next week, and they're not gonna vote together. There's gonna be some tension there at least.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if there are 4 going into like the merge or anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. As far as all of them, I mean, I still think Drew is the best setup. As far
It looks
as
like Napoleon Dynamite to me.
okay, I could see that.
Thank you.
Do you remember when that movie came out and there were like rumors that he died, like the actor?
No.
This I don't know why I think about this quite often. But like I think this was like early enough, not early enough in the internet because I could definitely check it. But I was young enough where like I wasn't fact checking things like I was, and everyone just
Mhm.
talked about like, oh yeah, the actor he died, isn't that horrible? But this was his last movie, and then like 2 years later, when whatever I think it was Ben Schwarmers came out, and everyone's like, what?
He's alive?
I don't know. It's crazy how the internet used to work.
I didn't see Napoleon Dynamite until like 2 months ago, so that I didn't. Hear
Oh,
any of
actually,
that
okay.
Pop culture. Yeah.
No, it was a sleeper indie hit. I mean, no one heard about it, and all of a sudden it was like, what is this thing? He's dead?
People like this. That's crazy.
Drew's not dead. Drew's very much alive and thriving.
Drew is so alive. I do think it's worth noting. I think Drew and Austin are solid, and I think Julie and Dee are solid. So I think those duos will work together in the future. I
Yeah.
just wonder about the 4.
And here's the crazy thing is every advantage in the game currently belongs to Drew and Austin. Everyone.
That's wild. Oh, because one just got voted out.
Mhm.
Blue Tribe just hasn't found their Beware advantage.
Nope.
Or have they?
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
In my head, Jake found it. I can like picture Jake finding it.
He might have. Not that I'm seeing anywhere here.
Did he lose his vote or anything? Or am I just making this up? There's a chance I'm just making this up.
Not. I'm not seeing anything about it.
Yeah, I must have made it up.
I think so. Like I don't remember any of it. So yeah, Austin now has the immunity idol after completing his whole quest. Drew has the safety without power that he got at the summit, and he now has the goodwill advantage that Caleb gave to him. What do you think about Caleb choosing Drew out of the bunch?
I think he's the least trustworthy option.
Drew is?
I really think, yeah. I think he's a gamer. I don't think he's one that's gonna like come back to Caleb because of that.
Well, he definitely already told his tribe about it. So, or
Oh, yeah,
his,
he told
his
all of them about
alliance. Or wait, was it the whole
Immediately,
tribe?
yeah. It was the alliance.
Okay. Yeah.
It was, yeah. Drew, I think it was Drew and Julie,
I didn't hate the
or Austin and
logic.
Julie, or something.
I didn't hate the logic at first from Caleb because I think like when he talked to them one on one, which was kind of sketchy to begin with. Like I don't know how you better do that, but it just felt like very weird to be like, well, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna talk one on one with every single one of you. I'm like, okay, we see what you're doing, but like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of had to. Um, but like Drew definitely gave him the most, when it came to talking about what Caleb wanted to hear. So like I understand why he chose Drew, but it's just I don't know. Like I don't know how that's going to help anyone, especially because like I would think you would want to give that to someone who you thought was in danger, and it doesn't feel like Drew was in danger. Like this feels like
Mhm.
something to help him, and Drew's kind of like, cool, I'll take this, but I don't need it. Like no, this doesn't help me at all
Yeah.
right now. Like I don't plan on losing my vote. Thanks though.
But it's goodwill, you see.
It's goodwill.
I nailed that. Yeah, I wish we could have seen this conversation with Sifu in full. I feel like that would have been a fun conversation to just experience.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get 2-hour episodes soon.
I hope
Give
so.
us some more. Anything else
think that's-
on Reba or
No,
anyone?
I think that's all I got. They had another
Okay.
like steal stuff advantage or raid, which is always fun. He
Even
was
though we
nice
didn't
enough
see
to
the
leave
first
the
one.
spear. Yeah. Was that a raid? Did they get to steal something?
I thought so. Maybe not.
They got to vote at tribal, I think. Yeah, there must have been a couple then.
Well,
But yeah,
I think that's it.
that's Survivor for y'all.
I'm really hoping I warm up to this season. I think there's a strong chance I will. I don't want to be negative on Survivor. I love Survivor,
Yeah, you negative Nathan.
It's a good
Love
show.
that.
All right, well, that's it. We'll be back next week to talk about this swap and everything else. For more episodes, visit notgameoutpersonal.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere listen to podcasts, really, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at NGAPpod, at NGAPpod. I'm Nathan. This is Tony, and we will see you next week.
45 seasons, 2 friends, 1 podcast.